Okay, and we're live. It's me and Claire again. And why don't you tell us a little bit? I went to that video to go watch it with Duvid, and they only went for about an hour and a half. I thought they would still be streaming by the time I got there. So, what was the stream about? How did it go?
It's really about David giving a background to anti-Semitism. So, so this guy is well, he's a serious guy. He's got a business to run, and he's just doing this in his spare time. So, I guess he's not like the rest of us, and he runs some kind of charity or to help people called Giraffes or something. So I guess he's a kind of regular guy, not a social media bum. And he does genuinely want to solve the problem, and he's not just LARPing.
Right. Well, that sounds good. So, have you talked to him about secular Quranism?
Oh no, not yet. I mean, I thought he was going to let a few people on because Adam Green was in a chat, and he kind of said he wanted to. Um, I mean, he had three categories of guests, anti-Semites, conspiracy theorists, and I guess people who are not anti-Semites. And I wanted to be put in the third category, and everybody was pushing me into the first category of being an anti-Semite because Ralph was there. But we'll see. But anyway,
They
he
consider
was
Ralph an anti-Semite?
no. Ralph was saying that I was an anti-Semite.
Oh, why?
Oh, but he always trash talks of people. But maybe we all kind of trash talk each other from time to time. But I mean, I guess Ralph can't get over that. I think Christianity is kaput. And then, oh yes, and he also said I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I said, he says I'm obviously not a conspiracy theorist because I don't have a conspiracy theory. I might have a sociological, historical, psychological explanation of what causes anti-Semitism, but I don't have a conspiracy theory. So he doesn't really seem to know what he's talking about. But it doesn't matter because the guy emailed me and said we could discuss it offline next week to decide how we're going to frame it. And I've decided to frame it as anti-Semitism, its causes and characteristics.
Um, Just so everyone knows, the announcement at the beginning of every show, I'm on shadow ban on YouTube. They don't want you listening to my videos at all. You can't find me in any way. You can't go to my profile and find my videos or search my videos, and they won't come up or anything like that. So I have in the description, not in the description and up on the screen, I have vincentbrunoshadowban.blogspot.com, where you can get all my streams. And also, just so you guys know, me and Claire were talking about, we're trying to break into the mainstream. So I'm going to need some help with that. So I did put up a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Vincent Bruno. I was the only Vincent Bruno. So
Oh, it seems. Oh, okay. Vincent's back again. He
yes,
dropped
I'm
out.
back. Yes, I'm back. So spread that stuff around, and if you have any ideas about how to get us on the radio, but this is like, Claire, we're so controversial. I mean, how are we going to get on radio?
Um, okay, all you can do is just keep saying what it is you want, and maybe, somebody can see the point of it, right? I mean, we have to ask, at least ask, because if we don't, well, we're not even, going through the motions of believing us in ourselves and doing our thing. So, yeah, we have to keep asking, even though we don't think, that people will be particularly polite or accepting. And but they might think, being asked several times, they might think, oh, it's those people who keep saying this or doing that. And I think that will at least be helpful. And
Well,
also, I
Claire,
do think what?
I'm listening. No, I'm listening. Keep going.
Oh, I was just saying people are, I think, becoming increasingly interested in these things. So I think we should just, keep pushing.
Okay, Claire, I'm sending you the YouTube link so you can share it on Facebook.
I'm doing it.
O-
I mean, I do get
Yeah.
notifications from you, so
Okay. Yeah, I don't even, I'm surprised you're even getting that. And I don't know, that thing is going on my thing where I can't get any more subscribers. It's stuck at 30. You know
you've
what I
got
mean?
32. You've got 32. You're still
Uh,
32 now.
yeah, but I think I have a lot more than that. But because my other channel was like that, my subscription stopped at like 827 and stayed there for like months and months and months and months.
They do that to me too. I mean, I think it's deliberate, but I mean, somebody do, and people do come and watch, so we're not utterly ignored. Um, I mean, obviously they've got the algorithms to suppress us, but um, we're still around. Unlike Cotto and Gottfried, I was just thinking of them today. Just sort of getting annoyed at the people who won't platform us. And do you know Cotto and Gottfried?
No, who are they?
Well, basically, the two Jews who had a YouTube channel talking about political things. I mean, it's even called the Thinking Man's Politics channel or something like that. And I know Cotto was so careful about the algorithms. He interviewed Stefan Molyneux and then said, no, we're not going to be uploading it later, because I think if he figured out that he um, worked out all the rules, and in the end, well, he's no longer on YouTube.
Stephen Molyneux.
And then, he was just doing this really annoying thing that, what's his name? OV would do, he would just stream and there would be no content on the channel to protect himself, delete the streams. And they were doing that and they weren't even saying anything particularly transgressive. And now they're completely gone. There's no more, well, it's gone. So it wasn't even working out for these two Jewish intellectuals at all. And
Well, yeah, I know that, this is what these things are going to eventually find out. First of all the young people and the leftists don't really use Facebook. They use Twitter, or at least they used to before Elon Musk took over. But, a lot, I would say like 50% or more of Facebook users now, more than 50%, because I think leftists and young people don't really use it anymore, is mostly right wing. So if they keep attacking the right wing on social media, they're eventually going to lose a lot of their creators and a lot of their viewers.
but the thing is, people are not behaving rationally. They're just following orders, and we're not really sure where the orders come from, because yes, they are depriving themselves of their integrity and a lot of income, and they should just reflect what people are concerned about, are interested in, but they're trying to push us into something else because they're trying to change the culture. And yeah, so that's a problem. And I suppose the question for ourselves is whether we can fight back.
Well, at this point, I don't think we can fight back the way the right wing is fighting back. I mean, I don't think that they're going to be very effective. If anything's going to win, it's going to be something. I would think I have more faith in Islam taking over than I have in these Wignats taking over. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I
So
have
I mean,
more.
I agree with you because they
I
have
think
a
it's more
big
likely.
idea. Because they have a big idea and people can rally around this sort of, it has a happy ending, in that good will triumph over evil. It's that sort of thing that makes people want to believe, and it's got a rule system and a value system that, is positive and life affirming, and therefore people want to believe in it, and if they want to, they will, and that's
Hey
how it works.
Siri, turn on the dresser. I'm dusting my house.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So
And
Claire, I'm listening.
oh, I'm just saying it is a positive message helps. I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you
It's
going to
okay.
say?
Yeah, a positive message helps, a unifying message helps. I mean, it's this kind of, the only thing is that you have to it's like a whole spiritual system you have to buy into, whereas with secular Quranism, you don't really have to do all that. And, I don't know. I don't know. Unfortunately, humans need spirituality, it would seem. At least the vast majority of them do.
Hmm.
And,
Yes, because
to,
we're like children, really. I mean, imagine if you told horrible stories to young children at bedtime, and the characters in the fairy story didn't live happily ever after. They were killed horribly, with the villain laughing away and the police saying there's nothing we can do about it. Blah 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 blah. Well, yes. And grown-ups also have this spiritual desire for justice, for people getting what they deserve.
I mean, the reason I don't just want Noahidism, I want secular Noahidism. 'Cause I don't want to get into these spiritual debates. Like, everything is like that, what's ultimated Judeo Christianity, where it's bullshit. God is real because God is real. You know what I mean?
But you,
God
you
is real.
can't kind of prove God's existence without
No, but like
believing
that,
in
his
nonsense.
name is Allah and all this other kind of stuff, and like bullshit, like the fact that he knows that the Bible's right because Jesus, God said, it says in the beginning God created, and his whole thing was like, if God is a loving God, then creation is the greatest form of love, and so he would make this readily apparent in early scripture, and Islam doesn't have that as the first word in the thing. I mean, it's this type of fucking stupid ass logic, that I don't want to be dealing with.
You don't need to deal with him, because that there's something wrong with him, I think.
No, but they're like, that's not the level of conversation I'd like to be having with my enemies.
You don't need to do that at all. You would be okay. For me, it would be saying we ought to obey God's laws, even if we're not sure of God's existence. And I can prove it to nationalists all the time. It's like it's the only thing. Belief in God would just make us do all the things we're supposed to do, and the thing that we're most supposed to do is really to marry and have children and be good parents to them, and then everything will be all right. And the moment we take our eye off the ball, everything collapses within half a century, which is kind of what happened. And so you already have this is what happens to you if you don't do X. And if you want everything to be all right again, then you just have to do X again. And then the next thing is, oh well, we don't want to. Okay, the thing is, okay, it is about belief fundamentally. You can think, yes, there are all these laws. I don't want to get punished, so I will follow them, um, and then if you did believe in them, and you thought these laws were good, in on their own they were good, and you really believed that you would be pleasing God by following them, then you would follow them better and for longer. And that, I suppose, is the whole point of theocracy, to get most people believing and obeying, and that would make your um, make your group last longer than other groups who didn't. It's like the Canaanites, right? I mean, even the story of the Jews. I don't know if you heard Sam talking earlier, and he was saying, you know, at, during the time of Moses, the Jews, didn't even have to think about whether God was real, because apparently he was looking after them so well and giving them food, manna from heaven, and basically allowing them to win all their battles against the Canaanites. And still, they made trouble, they doubted, they dragged their feet, and you know, and in the end, they okay. Moses didn't get to the promised land, did he? He died and was
Yeah,
buried in an unmarked grave. And,
which
and
was just horrible that, he did all that work and he didn't get in because he made a petty little itty bitty little mistake.
we don't even know what it was. I think it
Yes, it
might
was.
be.
So they were thirsty for water, and so he used his magical rod and he struck a rock and water started coming out of it. And he says, "Look at what I've done for you." And it was God who did it, not him. So, for that, because he made that utterance, he wasn't allowed in the promised land.
Oh, I thought. Okay, I mean, this is the usual reason given, but I think the other one, after Sam's telling me about the spies, is that apparently, if they'd just sort of gone into the promised land, they would have just arrived very quickly. But because, they weren't sure and they wanted to send scouts and spies to tell them about, what the land was, and the spies were frightened and they weren't sure, and they had all these scary reports about, giants and stuff. So they didn't enter the promised land when they could. And therefore, they wandered around for 40 years, but they could have just got there. And therefore, if this is true, Moses kind of shot himself in the foot by believing in what the spy said and following their advice and not entering into the promised land at the first available opportunity. So he did it to himself, basically, by listening to wrong advice. And you couldn't even say, oh, it was God's fault or whatever. It was, if the reason I've given is correct, obviously the delay of 40 years would have some, effect on him, getting to the promised land before he died. So I think
Yeah, but
this.
he wasn't allowed to get. I mean, he wasn't allowed to go in. I mean, even when they got there and it was time to go in, he wasn't allowed to go in.
I thought he died before they reached it.
Well, not before they reached it. He he made it there, but he wasn't allowed in.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe.
Moses is a pretty sad character because he didn't want to be chosen. He kept saying, "Why are you choosing me? I don't want to do this." He was very reluctant, and basically at one point, he's saying, I think he started saying, that he was cursed. That this was, a horrible thing that happened to him. And it was. I mean, he took them out into the desert and they were all ungrateful and he had all these trials and tribulations that he had to go through. And then God dumped him for an itty bitty little mistake. You know what I mean? Because he made a mistake. So God just said, that's it. You're not in.
Well, he's one of the most famous people on earth. I mean, nobody's going to say, "Oh, you didn't accomplish anything. You just didn't get everything that you wanted." But you know, um, he's one of the most important prophets. Because he was the first man to have been handed scripture containing the written laws of God. Whether we believe it or not, I mean, it is really the power of writing, of written records of stories and of laws, and being able to ascribe you know a divine source to your book of rules, which is I think, well, it was unprecedented, wasn't it? I mean, nobody thought of all those things at the same time. We know that in Egypt there was Artemism. So basically, it was a pharaoh saying, "I'm tired of all these other priests, and the very parasitical, and they take away from me my soul power. I'm going to sweep it all away, and I'm going to just make it all my people worship the sun disk, and I will be the intermediary." Thereby cutting out all the other priests, Osiris, Isis, and all the other ones. And anyway, it didn't work because after he died, everything went back to what it was again.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what
And
happens with this monotheism. When you start forcing monotheism, then people, they just rebel and go back. I mean, I think monotheism, you actually have to put a lot of. I think that if there's no pressure, people just become polytheist. If there's no, because
exactly.
what, people want God to be what they want God to be, and you know the God of Israel is a fixed personality, and it's like one God. And so I don't like the personality of that God. If you don't like the personality of God,
Well,
if Dalmatian Dog is in the chat.
mhm.
Let's see if he wants to come on. Dalmatian Dog, do you want to come on? I'll put the StreamYard link.
But I don't think we have an option if he does exist. It's like, well, he's well, it's also supreme power.
Well, no, but what I'm
But
saying is that people would rather have the option to believe in a God that seems like them. Hello, Oswald Spangler. He's in the chat.
mhm.
Um, people are going to want their God. The people are going to want their concept of God, and under polytheism, everyone gets their concept of God. And there's all these different cults, and you can find one that works for you, and
but
tailored to. Hmm?
I know everybody's going to create a god in their own image, but I'm saying the most powerful god is a source of um, it gives us the ability to order our thinking, because okay, you have all these competing deities, and then people will just fight, and maybe if you were ruling over them, you wouldn't want them to fight over their silly things like my god is better than your god, I'm going to fight you, like it was a sort of stupid football team or boxing match. And I think the potential of this Abrahamic God saying, well, he knows everything. He can read your mind. And he will note every thought and every deed. And then at the end of your life, he will, you know, um, well, do a, what do you call it? Well, basically, total your sins and your good deeds and decide, where, which place you're going to go. And a lot of people find that idea attractive, and a lot of governments find the idea of, putting a policeman into the heads of their subjects very attractive. I mean, but it can be used for good or evil, can't it?
Yes, it's just when you have a monotheistic God, it's not a good one. With polytheism, the good and the bad cancel each other out, and if one God is so bad, the other gods can unite against him, and all these different kinds of things. But
Why have you decided that the Abrahamic God is not a good God?
um, because I think he sets up unnatural expectations for people, and especially in the Torah, just create something. I always hate, Christians are always like, the law was impossible to keep, and in a way they're kind of right, you know what I mean? To make people, why would he make us with certain, we have certain natures, and it goes against our nature, what this thing is. And whereas when the polytheists were in charge, they kind of more or less worked with the natural inclination of the people, and they didn't need to be forced into worship. They actually wanted to worship, and they liked worshiping, and they didn't rebel. There was never a rebellion against polytheism. There's rebellions against the God of the Torah in the Torah. They rebel against him.
But the thing is, I mean, you compare the civilizations of polytheist societies to ones that have adopted the Abrahamic faith. That there is a considerable difference, and I think that the main difference is the rule of law. All these rules, you're supposed to follow them, and you're more likely to follow them if you believe that they came from God. and you follow them and you keep your identity. And even if your civilization falls, other people will have adopted, a similar model, and that way the idea remains in existence. I mean, how the Jews have kept their identity, must have been through the Torah, which basically says this is who you are, this is what you must do, and you're special, and blah. And I suppose the whole package of saying, you are special, you are my people, you have been chosen, might make people want to be Jewish, even though they don't find the idea of the restrictions of Judaism particularly attractive. I mean, there's always a collection of incentives to be this thing, right? And I suppose Jews can say, well, we're still around, so we managed to get something right. Or even if most of them don't want to be observant Jews, there are still enough observant Jews to keep them in existence. And because they are in existence, they annoy the Gentile, and because the Gentiles are annoyed, it forces them to think a bit more about what their religion ought to be. Because, at some stage in any country's history, they'll be wondering, how are we going to stay in existence? Things are so bad, the people, so stupid, or something. They must, because politics is all about changing the rules, and government is about enforcing the rules and all that kind of thing. So it's all tied up with government and public and private morality. But okay, basically, it's all about whom we can or can't have sex with. I think Westerners have basically forgotten, because they think it's a human right to have sex with anyone, with another consenting adult. I mean, that is their belief, really. It's okay. It's one of the values of liberalism. And the real religion of the West is liberalism, even though a lot of people reject it. But the official orthodoxy is liberalism. And there are, there are things that you can't say, like you can't deny the Holocaust, you can't say mean things about other races, and all that sort, apart from the Chinese, I don't know.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, okay, back to the sexual thing. Okay, it's our nature to want to have sex with lots of people and not be tied down to one spouse. And okay, when they were first talking about birth control before it was invented, the other side was, well, it's abstinence. There, there's like, the only way to deal with this is abstinence.
mhm.
To not have many children. If you don't want to have many children, the Catholic Church was like, just give up the marital right, and then you don't have to have so many children. But that's like, obviously birth control won out because it's more in tune with human nature than the other thing. And that's why I'm saying that we have the sexual revolution now, and the thing is just to make it go forward even more rather than go backward. Nobody's going to go backward, not even all these conservatives. They all have sex outside of marriage and fornicate, and you know what I mean, and are homosexuals. And the right wing is very hypocritical, and I don't think that they're quite ready. They talk about putting the sexual genie back in the bottle, but are they really ready for that? Could they really do it? Like, they're not able
Yes,
to
of
do
course
the,
they could.
well, they're not
Of
able,
course
they're
they
not,
could.
no, you know what? Because everyone now has a gay friend. Gay people are there's so many gay Republicans. Like at a Republican thing now, you have to worry about gay people. It's hard to get up on stage at a Republican convention and say we're going to reverse gay marriage. You know what I mean? Because it's hard now because there's gays in the audience, and people like them. They're people's brothers, sisters, fathers. You know what I mean? All this other kind of stuff, and so I don't really think they're ready. Plus, they're doing bad things themselves.
Well, you've heard the expression law rules are made to be broken, haven't you?
Yes.
I mean, it just means that all these laws that have been made, It's like the maker of that law anticipated that they would be broken and assigned a punishment, right? So, uh, so God, if he exists, who made the rules, knew they would be broken. But I mean, I suppose he made the rules to impress upon people what is right and what is wrong, and they're supposed to know, even if they break the rules.
Oswald Spengler in the chat wants to know if I think if Dennis Prager is gay. I don't really know. I would have to look at. I'd want to probably like see him talk and see him walk and see his facial expressions and things like that before I took a guess at that.
He
You
doesn't
know,
seem. Is
hmm?
he married? Is he married?
That's what he said. He definitely has extramarital intercourse regardless. I don't
Hmm.
know if Dennis Prager is married, but a lot of them are married. A lot of these, homosexuals are married, and I mean, it. Yeah, I think it would be a lot harder. They're all on birth control. I mean, the idea of conservatives taking birth control was at one time like, that was just something you wouldn't do, and now they're all on birth control, and they all want to have, you know, fornication, and they all want, even if they're in their marriage, they want to have sex without children, and they don't want a lot of kids.
Well, because they're expensive. So he's been married a few times. He's had three wives.
Yeah, and he's up
He's
giving,
mhm.
he's a conservative giving out moral things on Prager University, and he's been married 3 times. This is what I'm talking about. Divorce. Oh, how many of them are divorced? Let's just talk about divorce. How many people in the conservative movement are divorced?
Well, the fact that you have no fault divorce makes it easier.
I know,
Um,
but what I'm saying is these men are not going to want to go backward. Men are
okay,
not.
okay, they just have to understand that if they want to change things, then they'll have to accept that radical. Yeah, it's a bit of radicalism is required, and if they can say, "Oh, it's too radical, I won't do it," then I guess nothing much is going to change, and you will be right. So, and it's all about what you might regard as not particularly important things. Like, I'm afraid I think of Carol again. I'm just going to I'm just going to keep saying that a one-party theocracy is required, and if it makes you go all funny and you don't want it, fair enough. But that's what is required, and so a lot of people just can't go through with it the whole way. Um, you know, if you don't get a one party state, you won't be able to do it. If you don't impose the rules of the Quran, you won't be able to do it. So, well, don't bother. What are you eating?
I was drinking coffee. I won't eat on stream unless I have myself on mute. Now I'm like very self-conscious about the noises I make.
Do you listen to the streams afterwards? Just do you listen?
No,
You don't. Okay.
no, I just don't have to. I have time to listen. I don't know.
I
I
know.
just
I
don't
know.
want to. I don't want to repeat it. I'm out of
Yeah.
work right now, so
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, I kind of do because if I don't timestamp it, it's just all lost and nobody will be able to find anything. And I kind of even have a compulsion to do it now, just because of habit and the idea that all these hours of streaming will just be lost if I don't even if I don't even record them or note the change of subject and all and whatever. But yes, what I'm saying is nobody is saying that they're perfect and they never break the rules. They're saying that the rules should be this, and if they're so bad as to do the thing that's against the rules and are so unfortunate as to get caught, then they will have to take the punishment, and that's it. And they would agree to it because they see it as crucial to the continuation of their civilization, and that's why they would have to collectively agree that to uphold these rules.
Yeah, and I say we need some radical rearrangement of the family system so that we can, so that we can breed without the stress of it because the
It's
thing
always
people
going to
event
be stressful.
well, it's less stressful. I mean, like just divorce came into existence because so many people were absolutely stuck in horrible divorces they couldn't get out of, and they were like breathing for freedom and they couldn't get it, and that's why, it came into existence. And people are having less children because it's difficult. And if you want to have more children, you have to remove those difficulties. And one of them I always say is those birthing pods. Eventually, we won't need to get pregnant anymore, hopefully. And also I think we need to find alternative ways, like I've always said, of creating families. And that's what I think
Because it's
needs
all
to.
high maintenance. You know it's
It's
high
high maintenance,
maintenance.
it's high maintenance, but
It's
it'll
even more high
hi-
maintenance than the not normal way.
you have to put in energy to get a better creation. You have to put in energy all the time. Entropy, the heterosexual family, monogamous family is entropy. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take as much to maintain it because it's not, producing high yield crops. So if you don't till your soil, that's like, people who say, well, I don't need to till my soil. And if you don't till your soil, then you're going to have weak crops. And, our way of doing it is tilling the soil and putting in fertilizer and different kinds of things to make it better. And that's high maintenance, yes, but it's worth it.
Okay, you just reminded me of that bit in Stephen James's um, video about the inverted pyramid um, of white people, and I thought he explained it very well. And I tried to explain it to you earlier, and I just couldn't remember it. And maybe you would like to watch it from um, 1 hour 19 minutes if I give you
No, just
the.
share your screen. I can't share my screen. My
Okay, okay. Yes, it is. It is a bit slow. Sorry about that.
You have to get a new computer, Claire.
I know, but it sort of works.
Why don't you just order it? Why don't you just order it online right now? I mean, why don't you just order it?
Mm, because I think it still works.
Yeah, but it
Okay,
gives you difficulty.
I know, but I suppose. Okay, wait. 119. Oh, I don't know how to do it. Okay, so I click on present. Okay, share screen, and I pressed, and I click on the video, and I press play.
Oh wait, hold on. I got to add you to the. It didn't show up as.
You
Okay,
need to
go
do it. You need to do it.
go ahead. Press play.
Their numbers or mass immigration.
So that I don't think that will be of any comfort 12 years.
Don't you want all those wives? That was after I suggested polygamy.
I don't think we have any solutions here, but I attempted to lay out the problem. Dear. Goodness me.
But you see, the thing about this whole, theocracy idea is that actually it's sort of obvious now, isn't it? You didn't do all those things that you could have done, and now you realise you got, but anyway, the solutions, it's sort of obvious. If you didn't do it before, it's not too late to do it now, and that kind of thing. But if you ignore it, it'll obviously get worse. I mean, I didn't know the demographics were as bad as you said.
Why are you speeding it up?
Because most people are indoctrinated into thinking we don't have to marry before we have sex. It means that they're even less likely to marry, and they will, think like Banksy. Because that is the consequence of promiscuity on men. They think, oh, there's always plenty more fish in the sea, and they never settle. And so even though they have good genes, good job, and whatever, they don't, they don't end up having offspring. And of course, all these women who go to university, the clever ones, they get jobs, but they don't get husbands or children. And that is why I think that explains the ever lowering IQ. Okay, here we go. The inverted. They don't become part of the breeding stock.
Yeah. So here's the image that I was looking at. Whoops! No, I've gone off it. I have to keep it on the screen. Is it on the screen at the moment?
It seems to be baked. Oh yeah, it's back again. Yeah.
I accidentally showed my dinner.
Okay.
But so this is what I was trying to explain without having it in front of me. I knew I'd seen it somewhere and I found it. So we can see here that the top two generations they're not having any more children. So the only demographics that matter are the bottom two, the 20 to 40s and the 0 to 9. And this is very roughly put together. And when we look at that bottom one, if that's the state of
Vincent, maybe the screen is too small to see the thing properly, the inverted pyramid. Can you kind of maximize it? Oh, has he gone? Oh, I'll just carry on then.
No, can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, I'm gonna try. Just give me a second. I'm gonna try to make it bigger. There's certain things I'm limited doing on my phone.
Because it looks small to me.
Well, it looks. It looks small to you. No, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything I can do to fix that.
Okay, never mind. I'll carry on. And
oh wait, no, I have it.
Great.
Okay, go.
Play today. Whoever's put this graphic together has titled this how very inflammatory. I'll just give some disclaimers here. I'm not suggesting this is the case, okay? But whoever's created this has said how to destroy white people in only a generation. And there we have it.
It started in 1974. I don't know if you've heard of Keith Joseph, but he was going on about this, way back in his Edgbaston speech in 1974.
What did he say about it?
He basically said in 1974 that our human stock is being destroyed. And he was talking about middle classes being okay, I found the article. So what did he say? Okay, this is what he said in 1974 in Birmingham. The balance of our population, our human stock, is threatened. A recent article in Poverty published by the Child Poverty Action Group showed that a high and rising proportion of children are being born to mothers least fitted to bring children into the world and bring them up. They are born to mothers who were first pregnant in adolescence in social classes 4 and 5. Many of these girls are unmarried, many are deserted or divorced or soon will be. Some are of low intelligence, most of low educational attainment. They are unlikely to be able to give children the stable emotional background, the consistent combination of love and firmness which are more important than riches. They are producing problem children, the future unmarried mothers, delinquents, denizens of our hostels, subnormal educational establishments, prisons, hostels for drifters. Yet these mothers, the under-20s in many cases, single parents of classes 4 and 5, are now producing a third of all births. A high proportion of these births are a tragedy for the mother, the child, and for us. Yet what shall we do? If we do nothing, the nation moves towards degeneration. However much resources we pour into preventative work and the overburdened educational system, it's all the more serious when we think of the loss of people with talent and initiative through emigration, as our semi-socialism deprives them of adequate opportunities, rewards and satisfactions. Yet proposals to extend birth control's facilities to these classes of people, particularly to the young unmarried girls, the potential young unmarried mothers, evokes entirely understandable moral opposition. Is it not condoning immorality? I suppose it is. But which is a lesser evil? Until we are able to remoralize whole groups and classes of people, undoing the harm done when already weak restraints on strong instincts are further weakened by permissiveness in television, in films, and on bookstores. That's the end of the quote. I'll put it in the chat in case anybody wants to read it. But yeah, that was 1974, 45 years ago. Stephen?
Hello?
Oh, quiet.
Sorry, I was muted. I was talking and I said, so that may be true. What you read out there.
Plus this, that was already true, and we've got that to contend with, the inverted pyramid.
Yeah.
So, double time to be lost, really.
But, yeah. So anyway, like what I was observing in chat, and I'm always feel like guilty about this. I said to you that before this stream, didn't I, in the DMs, that because I don't consider myself part of the Wignat group, and I try to stay at arm.
Okay, I think. Did you want to listen to more of it, Vincent? I mean, you've seen the inverted pyramid and the problem that was described, right? There's demographic change, and also the degeneracy that has, begun 50 years ago, plus the actual, demographics.
Yeah, no, that was good. Yeah, I mean,
we don't have time for your, artificial wombs, I guess. That's what.
Well, I think we do have time. I mean, I think we do have time, and I think we have time for the Noahide laws. I don't think that civilization is going to totally collapse overnight, and I also think that there's a chance that, remnants of people will start creating networks to keep themselves alive and to keep their, progeny alive, and basically keep a high level of civilization, but maybe on a smaller scale. I think that basically we need to prepare for futurism, not for traditionalism. I mean, we're not going to go back to, the farms and all that other kind of stuff. I don't believe that's going to happen. I don't think the race even has the stamina for that anymore. We've been, in civilization so long, it's kind of...
We still need to grow food and, the things that we want.
Well, I mean, we should do it on...
We want energy, we want food and warmth. It doesn't have to be that advanced, but we need those things. And what you propose is very experimental. What if the experiment goes wrong?
Well, then you have the general population that have kept up traditional marriage.
Well, there's very few. That's what I'm trying to say. In the UK, over 50% of children being born, babies being born, are from unmarried parents. So you've already got that problem, and so they're going to be weak and stupid, and then they'll go to trash schools, or they'll be told to be transgender and gay, and they're not going to be doing what their ancestors did. I mean, that is basically the problem of degeneracy. Plus a problem of well, even the married people are not having many children. And then, and the government solves the problem of not having enough people by importing labor. And they're not stopping, and they're doing it even more. So, I'm saying the problem is not going to get better if you don't do anything. It's just going to get worse and be harder to address.
Well, I mean, with all this technology, you do need fewer people, and like they say, there's never been more white people on the planet than there is now. We're at our peak capacity. There's millions upon millions of them, and if they were, I think if they worked together better and they improved the system, they could survive without a growing population. If they keep their population static,
They can't work together. They can't work together because they have no rules that they follow about dealing with each other, and they can't do anything because they have no rules, and they don't know what the rules are, and nobody knows, not even their ruling classes. They don't know what the rules are, and that's why nobody trusts the ruling classes or each other.
well,
I mean,
I
you
don't.
need you need hierarchy for that sort of thing. I mean, that's why the army is so hierarchical. It's like, well, somebody's got to give the orders, somebody's got to follow the orders, and if nobody is sure who's giving the orders and who's following the orders, nothing will get done, and you all just get slaughtered, right? I mean, that's why the army is so hierarchical.
I know, but society is not everything in society is like the army, and also, I mean,
The decision-making process has
we
to be done in
functioned
that way.
we functioned as a democracy for a very long time, and it was very successful because the culture was different, and now there's a new culture coming in, and it might not be as suitable for running a democracy. Like you said, if uneducated women are having children, eventually that's going to spill over into the electorate, and they will start making bad decisions. And as soon as democracies start making bad decisions, people start calling for dictatorship because they want a strong man to come in and fix everything for them. And and so if you have a high quality population, you can have democracy and freedom.
Yes,
And
because
also, mhm.
I just wanted to say that democracy would work fine if most of the voters were wise men and women. But if they're not, you're just voting for you're just choosing the worst possible system of government. The worst. You're just asking stupid people what they want. Why would you do that?
Right, if the population is not stupid, it's better. You know what I mean? Like, you know, as long as the population is quality
Western IQ
population.
is lowering. Western IQ is lowering, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is lowering, and that has a lot to do with the declining, society. But
The decline in the practice of marriage, which you are undermining with your plans, your evil plans, I might say.
well, yeah, because I'm a futurist. I'm just saying that. Look, I mean, I'm just saying that the Abrahamic system doesn't make people happy, and it makes people so unhappy that they rebel against it. So instead of making a system that makes people unhappy, just use futuristic
How can you measure
answers.
happiness? Vincent, how are you going to measure happiness? People,
Well, people
how
know they don't want to
if you
live like
cannot
that.
objectively measure happiness, how are you going? How do you? It can't be proven that people are that unhappy, and it won't be proven that your system would make them happier. You
And
can't,
not, but we know
unless you
that
have some
yours.
objective measure of happiness, all these ideas are worthless.
We know that they were unhappy because they destroyed the system that they were living in. They started divorcing, they started not getting married, they started being gay, they started using birth control. They started using all these things because they were unhappy the way they were, and maybe I don't know. I would hope that we're happier than we used to be a long time ago when we didn't have access to these things. I mean, I think there's people who are on their second marriage and it's a happy marriage and they're glad that their first one was over and that they were able to do it with no fault divorce without having to wait for their husband to cheat on them. And you know
But surely you can deduce just by the divorce statistics. If you have statistics like, well, 2 in 3 marriages end in divorce, well, that you've already kind of quantified the level of unhappiness in the society, and then you can, and then suicide. Is it going up? Is it going down? And if it's going up, then I guess you can assume that people are becoming increasingly unhappy, and if people are getting murdered, people are reporting having their stuff stolen or being assaulted. These are quite objective measurements of human unhappiness, I would have thought.
well, the divorce rate is not because before people weren't allowed to get divorced, so now they can. So to claim that all these divorces mean that everyone's unhappy, it's not a good measurement because it wasn't legal to get divorced for the longest time, so nobody was doing it.
Well, I mean, you just assume that if you have failed my marriage, you're not going to be happy about it. It's a negative thing on your personal history. Just as having a criminal conviction, bankruptcy, that's another sign of something gone wrong. Illegitimacy would be actually the most easy to quantify form of human unhappiness, because you're also predicting the future when you note the percentage of illegitimacy or unmarried parents, because you can predict the future, can't you? Just saying, well, these children will be growing up in fatherless homes, underachieving, blah blah. So in a way, it's quite predictable, and the crime rate will be going up, and people will not be doing as well at school, so they'll be getting stupider and more criminal.
Well, I know it.
You see, we're never happy. We're never happy. Ultimately, the easiest thing to do is make them believe that you can be happy, but you have to live within these rules. And maybe you will find some happiness somewhere. But if you forget about these rules, your society, your civilization will collapse, and you'll be really, really, really unhappy then. Because it's not just you, as a member of society, feeling that you're not quite happy in your skin as a man, that you were born as, and you want to be a woman. It's worse than that, because people from other countries will be looking at you and think, there's a declining society, there's a declining empire, and they are the people who are getting poorer and stupider and more criminal, blah blah blah. And.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Gay and trans people need to become scary people. Okay, we need to get hold of the military and shit.
They
Gay
already
and
are.
No, but the problem is that gay people and trans people are viewed as being weak, and it's thought that if you have a lot of homosexuals in your society, they're considered to be effeminate, and they're considered to be soft, and all this other kind of stuff. And not all homosexuals are like that. And there's tons of homosexuals that are very, militant, and it just needs to. They're coming together in the wrong way. These gay parades with, I don't know. Maybe they are weak. Maybe they're incapable of being a militant people. You know what I mean? I don't know, but
I mean, aren't gay people like herding cats?
yes, it is like herding cats with gay people. They're it's like herding cats, and you know
Well, that's the thing. If everybody, well, nobody will bother with herding cats because it's a silly thing to do. They rather herd, I don't know, what do people herd? Sheep, but yeah. But you see that it is necessary to get the people in the group to be doing things. They need to be be able to cooperate. I mean,
homosexuals do things as individuals. Usually, I mean, usually it's like a sole homosexual who's at the top, and this and that, and it's usually, unless maybe it comes to gay rights or whatever. You know what I mean? It's usually individual homosexuals are kind of like a very, are very good. And then,
well,
but the community is not that great.
okay. What you're saying just gave me an idea because how do heterosexual men judge each other? In a patriarchy, that would be the alpha male who would be chosen by the beta males, and then it works because it's like, yes, you're the best. We're going to choose you to protect our interests, and you can only be alpha male if you're married. I mean, we're not going to let some bachelor be our leader because we want to know that he's capable of siring children, and then as well as being marriageable, he has to be capable of having children, and if he has children, they have to be adult by the time you choose him, because you will be using the quality of his offspring to decide whether he was a good father, and the fact that his wife is still with him. It's that kind of overall impression of a person that you can only do in.
Well, but it changes when you allow people. It changes when you allow people to express the fact that they are unable to uphold that ideal themselves. All these beta males are not able to do those things themselves. And so I think that, and before you had to be hush hush about it, and it was an embarrassment if you couldn't do that, and you had better try. And even if you were doing a horrible job at it, you just had to be quiet and, suffer through it. But now that they're able to express the fact that they're not, Superman, and are unable to do that, I think that now they look at those things less than they used to. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I guess a lot of people feel as though, I was raised by my single mother. I saw my father a lot. He would come and take me and stuff, but he didn't live in the house, and he was far away. So I think that, okay, so because that happened to me, if I found somebody, if my leader was born to a single home, I'm not going to really let that affect my decision because I was born to a single home, and I know that I'm a capable, worthy person. And so, why couldn't they be? And Arthur Goldberg's son is gay. I mean, is Arthur Goldberg? Are they going to stop working with Arthur Goldberg because his son is gay?
Well, I think it's about a position of national leadership. If Biden is well, obviously not leadership material when you think of Hunter Biden, but I'm saying ideally, if you're choosing a leader, this is what the kind of leader you want. You want not a young person, somebody middle age who has children at the right age, who are adult children who could have done something terrible to discredit themselves, but they didn't. They're okay. They got a good job. They're credit to their parents. It's that kind of overall impression that would make somebody presidential material, I suppose. And this is how heterosexuals judge each other, or heterosexual men anyway. And that would be at least some kind of criteria. But if you're all gay, well, why should one gay person look up to another? Because in a way, you're all the same. And it also has been said that beta males will never submit to the authority of another beta male, because they'll always resent him and think he's not good enough to be leading them. So, and then, the next question is, well, who is an alpha male and who is a beta male? If you're a beta male, can you become an alpha male? Of course. The answer is of course. But, it's all about waiting and, keeping stum and behaving yourself and biding your time and seizing the moment, etc. That's what it's always been about. Oh yes, and the other thing is for people to trust you, so you have a reputation of honesty and reasonableness, and you get on with people, and you don't get too many people hating on you, and you stick to your principle, which means that people are more likely to trust you. It's that sort of thing.
Well, I think that these were old-fashioned values that people adhered to, before, before.
What's the alternative, Vincent? What's the alternative?
Well, I think that the alternative is, like something futuristic and democratic, something that's, a little bit less hierarchical, and, those hierarchies can really grind on people.
Yes. Of course it will grind you down, but then you need it for the military, where it's a life or death situation. You need it. Yeah, for the hippie movement, maybe you don't need it. But for something that's supposed to have a specific purpose, you need that structure for the group to work, to fulfill its purpose. And I fear that people don't see that. They just want things to be the way they want it, and what they wanted is doesn't make the thing fit for purpose. Or they don't seem to care. Like, the military isn't working. Oh, who cares? Well, I suppose you will care if you get invaded and defeated, but maybe not before then. But you should be able to sort of, understand at a theoretical level that it's not going to be much fun if you're invaded or defeated or vanquished and exterminated. You should be able to know that it's not desirable.
But you have to be, you have to be like liberal fascists. Like I said, okay, what gay people should be doing is bombing Muslim countries because they don't allow gay rights. That's the way people should think about gay people.
They should be doing what to Muslim countries?
Bombing them because they refuse to give gay rights and women's rights. That's how people need to view homosexuals.
They're kind of doing it already, aren't they?
No, but not for that. They're not bombing them because they're not giving gay rights. You know what I mean? That's not exactly what it is.
Did they invade, Afghanistan to spread feminism?
I think they had other reasons to invade Afghanistan, but it's not their sole purpose, and they're not doing it to such heights that people are scared. Okay, they're not scaring people.
Energy for that. They've done all
No, they
this
don't have they don't have the conviction for it.
Yeah. Yes, so they don't. You're right.
Yeah, they don't. And that's a problem, and we're not going to get anywhere unless gay people become very highly convicted, and well, I don't necessarily know that they will. And I mean, like I told you, I do believe the Noahide laws win the first round, because I don't think gay people will rise up against that. I don't think gay people are going to notice it. I think it's too complicated for them to think about. And, and also they're just, I'm upset that the government said the nation was founded on a Noahide law, anti-homosexual law, and I'm a homosexual and I'm offended by that. But a lot of homosexuals are just not going to get that. I mean, they're just not going to get that. They're not, you know, I don't know what their fucking problem is, but they're not scary. I can tell you right that, and they're not bombing countries to get gay rights, and they're not like rallying homosexuals in every nation into like a fifth column military, which is what they should be doing, for a liberal order, a liberal fascist order, not pure fascism, but
Do you want to talk to David? I think it'd be fun for
sure. Are you sending him the link?
Yeah, I think I'll do that. And then, yes, he's you see that green thing to show he's active, and he can tell us about how his thing went. So did you watch all of it or not?
No, I didn't even watch it. I went to go listen in and it was over, so I didn't start it yet. Mm-hmm. I guess he was just accusing him of being an auto racist, right?
It was quite polite. So I can't actually recall what was said. It was all a bit vague. No, wasn't this? Maybe Elliot will join us.
I didn't read Secular by Design today.
Oh, is it a bit long-winded?
No, it's not. Okay. Okay, obviously I'm not convinced by it. Like I'm not like, but then, I'm not into that kind of stuff. I'm not into, he's like, basically, what is he? He's like, he's a little convincing. I think that other people, he'll convince other people because, I don't like his arguments, but a lot of people like those kind of arguments. And he doesn't quite argue like a religious person, but a little bit like.
Which of his arguments don't you like?
Well, it's just, this last one, he's basically saying, that the Enlightenment, is this kind of like dark thing and, brought all these ills to the world. Not like, but it wasn't like, single marriage and stuff like that. It was more, he was focusing on barbarity, like blaming barbarity on the Enlightenment. And I just really don't think that's true. And basically, he was just saying that all of the Enlightenment is Greco-Roman ideology and is inherently anti-Jewish. And he was showing all these anti-Jewish philosophers, like I don't know if it was Rousseau or Voltaire. Voltaire was one of them, and showing anti-Semitic quotes against the Torah and stuff like that, and just trying to be like the whole Enlightenment is basically anti-Semitic and
how is it anti-Semitic though? I hadn't heard of that one.
Well, because it's Greco-Roman and it's just a different morality than Jewish morality.
Right. Did he say why, or is this just the idolatry?
I think he's just trying to say that Greco-Roman philosophy is inherently bad.
Right. Did he give any examples? Because I suppose I'm interested.
Yeah, he gave violent example. He gave examples of anti-Semitism and then like barbarity, and I think he was even trying to blame the Nazis for the Enlightenment on the Nazis, and
Good news. David says he'll come in 5 minutes.
Okay, good. So yeah, he's basically saying. So I just finished the first chapter, and I wasn't convinced by his whole the Torah is scientific thing. It's just it was nonsense. It was just total utter fucking nonsense that the Torah is some scientific book. It was just garbage what he was
What
saying.
arguments did he use to say that the
Oh,
Torah is
he's
scientific?
saying, and again with that in the beginning, and and I don't even know how the fuck he got from in the beginning to the Big Bang. You know what I mean? And then he started bringing in Kabbalah about how this Kabbalist calculated the age of the universe, and it's almost or close to what scientists do and stuff like that that scientists have calculated, and just total bullshit. Total fucking bullshit. You know, just trying to make it seem like Torah scholars are just the most rational, logical, scientific people out there. Yeah, that's garbage.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but other people will be convinced by this. I mean, I'm not, but I'm going to spread the book anyway because I know there's stupid people out there that are going to be like, ooh. This is what I'm talking about. I don't want to deal with these types of arguments with people. I mean, he's not that bad because, you know, obviously the book is called Secular by Design, but there's still like, you know, bullshit. Oh, the Quran is so scientific and there's no contradictions in it. Please.
Well, it describes the Big Bang. It talks about we're made of water. What else? No, that's all I can think of at the moment. There are.
I know, and they say that I was reading like, you know, they're all like, oh, it describes embryology so well. You know what I mean? Like, this is the best your God can do is these crude. Why didn't your God like have you like? Why didn't he teach you all the secrets of mathematics and biology? You know what I mean? It's you know if he's so scientific and this religion is so scientific.
I mean, it's scientific in the sense that it can't be falsified. Because according to the rules of the God, of God is like, well, you know, you'll meet him in your afterlife, but you have to follow these laws, and that's a bargain. You see, that's a bargain. And obviously, it's a test, and nobody will be sent to you to tell you Kevin really exists and God exists, and they've met, you know, God, and they've come to tell you that it's all true. I mean, of course, it's not going to happen that way, but you know, but that is the deal. It's always 50-50. So it's just as reasonable to believe that God exists as it is reasonable for you to believe that God doesn't exist, because neither claim can be falsified by any evidence. It's always 50-50. So then it becomes a moral and political choice about, you know, whether to obey these laws. And then you would be referred to, well, the Jews have been around for a long time. They were the first ones. They'll probably, you know, outlive Christians, the way Christians are going. And when Christians go, it'll be Islam. And then the Jews will be said to have fulfilled their purpose when Islam takes over, which is what they were chosen to do, really. Well, that's my version, and I'm sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you see that we need to follow rules so that our behavior is at least consistent? And the most important of that, of these rules, is gender roles. Because it's really annoying that, you know, all kinds of weird people start thinking they have a right to have sex with you. I mean, you were complaining that all these transgender, you know, men and transgender women who think they, you know, just because you're gay, you're going to have sex with them.
Well, yes. I mean, this is kind of disgusting behavior on their part, guilting people, you know, and expecting lesbians to have sex with men with penises who look like men and dress like men, but who identify as lesbians. Like, you know, some lesbian is supposed to sleep with some like super wrestler because he identifies as a lesbian.
Well, yes, it's got to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not attracted to trans women or trans men. I have no sexual attraction to them. I like cis gay men, and you know, I don't really need to be shamed because of that. And imagine if gay people, when we were trying to get gay rights, we went around shaming men for not sleeping with us. I mean, we would have gotten nowhere. The trans movement is that they really have problems in that it's not foundational problems. It's stupid problems that it's not foundational problems. I don't think the trans movement, transsexuals are foundationally problematic. I think that they've been made problematic by basically this kind of micro leftism, where, well, this goes beyond leftism. This is where you start, you know, changing the meaning of reality, and we can't really do that.
What examples are you thinking of when you
I'm
say
just when
changing the meaning of reality?
the whole thing of there are no men, there are no women, biology doesn't count, and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's their biggest problem, and that people have to sleep with them. These are their biggest problems, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they're
Yeah, I
not
understand.
doing it right, and it doesn't look good if you write an article and you're a straight woman and you're like, my trans friend can't get a date on Grinder. What is wrong with everybody? Well, okay, most people are not into trans people. Okay, most people, well, first of all, most people are heterosexual, or secret bisexuals. There's like millions of them crawling around, but for the most part, most people present as heterosexual.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they are bisexual, I think most people, it's I don't know that many gay men that are into trannies other than like watching them do shows, but like, I don't even think I've ever met a gay friend of mine that was into trannies.
Hmm.
I think it's less of a market, and there's less buyers, and they just have to deal with that, and it's asking what's wrong with people because they're not sleeping with trans people is just really fucked up.
Hmm. I
Just
suppose they
one.
tend to be mostly white people. I mean, that's the, I guess, additional worry.
What, trans people?
Yes, aren't they? Well, in the West now, I guess. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe it's just more of the white race than any other race. I don't think tons of like Pakistani Muslims are being trans. You know what I mean? Though there are, of course, there's trans Muslims. And there was that one trans Muslim that used to be a soldier, and then now she's a Muslima, and you know,
Well, it's just really annoying, because you don't quite know what what they are. I mean, I once got really annoyed with someone on Facebook who who wouldn't even say whether she was male or female. I later discovered she was female, but it was like, after asking her, and are you crazy? It's just so annoying. Why did you just tell me? You know, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that, and you think, what's wrong with you? Why are you afraid to tell me what gender you are? Because I think, I mean, fundamentally, whether you're a man or a woman, people will they just want to know, so they know they have the measure of you.
hmm Yeah, I mean, well, they don't want measure. All these leftists don't like measurement. They don't like quantification of human beings or quantification of abilities and traits and personalities. They don't like any of that. They want everything to be undefined.
Subjective.
Yes, they want everything to be subjective and undefined and impossible to define, and they very much hate any kind of labels or anything like that. There's nothing that they. That's nothing.
Yeah. It gives them room for maneuver. And I mean, like, what do you think of Duvett's multiple truth hypothesis?
Well, that's just he's will be right or wrong. I mean, he's right no matter what because he says yes and no.
Hmm.
So, and then you really can't, get anywhere with that, and it's
It'll drive everybody mad. I mean, all this, if every time you ask a question, the answer is always maybe, I think it would drive you crazy.
yeah. I mean, I don't think he wants to make a commitment, because then he's caught, and a lot of these people don't want to make a commitment to anything, especially these days. People don't really want to be attached to anything, and yeah, they don't want to be attached to anything, so they, to any kind of ideology or cause or whatever. So they just say yes, maybe, yes, no, and it's annoying.
Well, I've just sent David a reminder since he isn't showing up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's but we don't. It's just gay and trans people need to become scary, and they need to become like they can't be, associated with singing and dancing in clubs and all this other kind of stuff because yeah, people are going to associate that with weakness, and it's really not good for gay people to be associated with weakness, especially since we are a persecuted minority. I mean, it's just not good to show that kind of weakness. Jews show a lot of strength, even though they're a minority and they have a lot of power. If homosexuals acted like Jews, I mean, we would overtake them. But we don't have that. You know, I don't know. I think that they're just. I think they're just stupid, and yeah, they're just stupid. They don't know how to accomplish anything. Well, they got gay rights, but that was also a lot of help from straight people too. They got lots of help from straight people. But, when they wanted marriage, they got marriage, and when they wanted, to be able to come out of the closet, they accomplished that.
You seem a
And
little downhearted.
well, I am if, and I don't want to come to the realization that, gay people are fundamentally incapable of leading themselves. That's not a good feeling. And it's like being a woman who begins to believe that women are incapable of leadership, proper leadership, and are incapable of running a proper society. I mean, that's going to really wear down on you if you're some kind of feminist, and I'm sure there are feminists like that just are smarter than the other feminists and more militant and have better ideas. And, I'm sure that they feel really, desperate and feel, begin to believe that women, are what everybody says they are. Though I don't know this thing, such misogyny. I've always found women to be I've always liked women more than men. I didn't. Everyone's like, oh, they're not loyal, they can't keep a secret, they're bitchy. What else are women? Oh, they don't own up to their faults, and they think they're God's give to men and all this other kind of stuff. And I didn't find them to be like that at all, but that could be because I'm not a heterosexual man and I don't deal with them on that level and that plane. You know, and the relationship between heterosexual men and heterosexual women is very warped and twisted. And gay people aren't as like, well, we don't have differences as much, so we don't prey on each other's differences the way, you know, heterosexual men and heterosexual women, they think differently, they want things different ways, and they clash a lot. You know what I mean? Gay people in relationships don't clash as much as heterosexuals, unless it's like some kind of violent relationship. But I mean, we clash, but not the same way.
Would you say there's more domestic violence amongst gay men than in lesbians? Do you have an informed view on
Well,
that?
they say lesbians have more domestic violence.
Or do you think that they are actually more violent or are just more likely to report it?
Well, yeah, they might be more likely to report it. Maybe things get out of hand more when they, they do it, and there's different kinds of reasons why, they're overrepresented. Yeah, maybe they report it more. Maybe just,
Mhm. I suppose that, a man, even if he was gay, might feel a bit silly calling the cops on being beaten up by his partner.
right. I mean, yeah.
And maybe even sillier than heterosexual battered wives.
Well, yeah, well, yeah, that's the other thing that, domestic violence, if the woman's doing it against the man, generally the man is not going to be overly hurt and is not going to call the police. A woman would be more likely to call the police. So that means only half of so if you have two lesbians, it's two women. So, they're probably more likely to call the police in an altercation than, a man. If one is a man and one is a woman, you have half the reporting because, men don't really want to look like, oh, my wife beat me up, you know.
Mm.
Oh yeah, this is like, I don't feel bad for these men. Like there was this guy up on Facebook and he was a big man. He wasn't huge, but he had muscle and he could definitely like take down a woman. And he's posting this thing like he has all these bruises and scratch marks on him, and he's like, oh, she did this to me because she knows I wouldn't punch back. I mean, you could have kept her off of you. You didn't need to let her bruise you and leave all these scratches on you. I mean, I think he just did it to be over dramatic to kind of like make a point that women, abuse and they get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you even stay with somebody like that?
Mm. Because if you stay with them, then you still officially have a spouse.
Yeah, I know, but who wants to have a relationship where, your wife is like where you have to take your wife's beatings because, you can't hit her back. And that was just stupid. You could keep her hands off of you. He was just being dramatic and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like these heterosexual men that have these fantasies that like women are trying to exterminate them and like would set up concentration camps. That's what men would do. You know what I mean? Women are not going to do that kind of shit.
Mm. True. Well, so men and women are different, and feminism must be, by definition, incorrect.
Well, I don't know.
That's not a sacred cow.
Feminism doesn't necessarily mean that men are equal to women. I think it's just that, they want equal rights and they want equal pay and they want equal, these kind of things. But feminism doesn't necessarily say that women are the same as men. I think that there's feminists who very much know that women are very different from men, and that, a lot of feminists see men as, inherently evil, and that women are nothing like that. You know what I mean? That, if the world was run by women, then, we wouldn't have all these kinds of psychotic problems because women are different.
Hmm. Hmm. Gosh. I, David seems to have well, he says he has to head out soon, so he can't join us, basically.
It's okay. Um,
And I think he thought he was joining my channel.
oh.
Um,
Have you talked to Jen lately?
no, no. Has anything been happening with her?
I don't know. I haven't heard from her in a long time.
Hmm. Did you two fall out about something?
Well, when I came out in support of incest, she was really like
Hmm.
shocked, and I think she just we haven't talked since then.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you think you might be concentrating on other things from now on?
Well, I don't know. I still have the website incesty.net that's up, to at least promote it. I'm not backing down. I mean, I have so many things I have to promote, and I get tired.
Well,
A lot.
just concentrate on one thing, otherwise you just do the other stuff badly.
Well, I mean, I am. At least I'm doing something. I mean, I'm not spending all my time on incest, but at least I have a website up, and I have a blurb and an explanation, and my phone number and my email, and links to the Beyondist stuff, and
Hmm. Did you? You said you were tired earlier, like you've been really busy. So I was just wondering.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not getting as much work done as I really should. I could be getting tons of work done,
But you
but
haven't. I mean, you haven't been getting on with Cecil's book the way because it's a bit hard going.
it's not hard going. It's just that, I used to read book after book after book after book after book, and something has just happened to me now that I'm older. I really can't read. I cannot watch TV anymore either, though very select shows will I watch. I will watch um, Gordon Ramsay. I like his like Kitchen Nightmares or Hell's Kitchen and stuff like that. And I like the Real Housewives of all these different places like Australia and Canada and all these different kinds of Real Housewives of this and that.
Hmm.
And but that's about it. It's very hard for me to focus in on things a lot anymore. I kind of think that I wore myself out, to be honest with you. I think that I was a little bit too. I think I studied a little bit too much when I was young. And so, I'm kind of tired of studying.
Oh, I don't think you really lose the desire. Okay, I don't really read that much, but I comfort myself in thinking that, uh, well, I pick some things up from Wikipedia every now and then. But talking about programs, did you ever watch something called Wife Swap? Did you know what that was about? I
No,
quite enjoyed
well,
it.
yeah, it wasn't wife swap, they have spouse swap or whatever here in America. And um, I've watched those shows, yes, where they switch families, and the wife goes to one, and then the other wife goes to the other,
Mhm.
and it's
I'd really like
interesting.
to start a kind of tranny show whereby, those trannies who think they can, masquerade as a member of the opposite sex, they should, they should kind of, well, have a drama documentary to see how well they do it. like go on a date or something. Ha ha ha.
Yes. Yeah. What do you mean, trick the man into thinking it's a real woman?
Yeah, something like that. Okay, maybe not on a date, but just sort of through ordinary, you know, um, social interaction. Convince people that you really are a man and when you're really a woman, and vice versa. I mean, I think that would be quite fun, quite engaging, don't you think?
Yes. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I think you would just add some spice into it, and that, you have to figure out which one was the real woman. Well, I mean, maybe the man could be in it. Like maybe the man you present, five women and two of them are trannies. Who's a tranny and who's a real woman. You know what I mean? And see if the man can tell. And what if he falls in love with the tranny? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of these trans people are very, very passable. I mean, some of these female to males, they look so much like men. You know what I mean? They look so much like men. I'm, if I didn't see, the cut marks and everything, I would think that they were hot. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean,
Cut
some of
marks. What on
what?
their genitalia? Cut
No, on
marks.
the cut marks on their chest. You know how the women, when they become men, they chop their boobs off and they get those scars.
Right, right.
They get those scars and shit
Uh,
like that. So
yes, I really think it should be discouraged. It's just painful to think of it, really. Okay, because it's irrational and a form of mental illness, in my view. I'm very sad that the government is encouraging it.
I don't know. I mean, these people, trans people. I knew I was gay when I was very young, and trans people say that they knew they were trans when they were very young. So I'm not going to. And everyone tells me you didn't know you were gay when you were 5 years old, and I did. And so if I'm not going to go tell a trans person that they didn't know they were trans at 5 years old because, just because I haven't experienced that. When I was a little boy, I wanted to wear a dress to school. And I forget how my father got me out of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember him convincing me. I think I just dropped it eventually, to be honest with you. But
Mm-hmm.
I was 5 years old and I wanted to wear a dress to school.
Hmm. Did you get that email I sent to you forwarded? It was something from Melanie Phillips, and she was speculating on the causes of, all these men wanting to be transgender, and apparently the main reason is that there are some men who get excited wearing women's clothes, and what they experience is sexual excitement, um, and well, but that's no reason to chop off your genitalia to masquerade as a member of the opposite sex. Seems to have gone quiet.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't. Look, I think people do know what they want, and like, if you know you want to be gay, you want to be gay, and if you know you want to be trans, you want to be trans, and I mean, it is America, do your thing is what it's really all about, and
But what
of
if you
course
regret it?
I know, of course, some of them are going to regret it, and that's the problem, but some people will
Well, you
regret
just
coming out.
advise them to kill themselves and problem solve.
Well, I mean, if they're absolutely distraught and can't live with their decision, then yes, you know what I mean. But um, yeah, if somebody ruined their life and they realize they made the biggest mistake of their life, then let them go because I'm not gonna. keep some. I'm not, oh God, torture someone that got a sex change and didn't want it, and now they regret it. That's horrible. That would be horrible. That's just beyond pain. But so is also not getting the sex surgery for some people. And am I conflicted about giving teenagers hormones? Yes. I mean, I can understand as a trans person you don't want to go through puberty because then you start getting secondary, sex characteristics. Like if you're a woman, a little girl who wants to be a man, you don't want to start growing boobs and stuff like that. And you want to kind of be more, um, you know, testosterone driven. And, if you don't get it done before you hit puberty, then, when you're older, it's going to be harder to transition and you might not look as much like a man as you wish you did because, you went through puberty as a woman and, they could become very resentful, but the other way, they could become very unhappy that they went through with it. Like I was watching, they had this thing about a boy in Germany who started estrogen and and then he decided he didn't want to be a girl anymore, but now he has boobs. So,
But isn't it crazy that the government is encouraging young people to do these things? Did you see that TikTok video of Trump saying if he gets in, he's gonna kick it all out, all this stuff, tranny
yeah, I
stuff?
saw that. I saw that.
I think a lot of
I, d-
people would be
I don't
pleased.
think he's going to get in. I don't think he's going to get in.
Well, I mean, okay, if Americans are not going to respond to that, then I guess they're just not interested in anything at all. If they, don't have strong feelings about what's happening. Okay, the people who won't have strong feelings are the people who don't want to have children. I suppose, bottom line, that's what it's all about.
What again? People who don't want children do what?
People who don't want children wouldn't care about these, gender issues.
Well, I
Because
don't think that's necessarily true. I think there's plenty of people with children that do that either are
that are
pro-trans or
against it.
not necessarily. I mean, I think that there's plenty of people with children that aren't against it. I mean, obviously, there's people that let their children go through the operation.
Well, they'd have to commit to it, I suppose, and hope that, it works out for their kid.
Yeah, I know it's it's a problem. These people, this is the way they feel, and it's the way that they feel, and it's what they want, and I don't know. I
The thing
don't
is, what we
know.
want is not necessarily the right thing. And now we're just encouraged to just go for it because it feels good, we like it, and then we regret it. And I think people should be helped to stop themselves making terrible mistakes like that. The parents should be able to intervene, but with conversion therapy, they say no, you can't even try to persuade your kid. And the government seems to be wanting us to change our sex and deliberately sterilize ourselves. And well, I think it's rather sinister, don't you? That they want us to the gender recognition certificate, this thing that's going through in the UK, I think is a lot of the government saying it'll help you tell lies, so it'll help you pretend to be a member of the opposite sex in order to trick other people into wasting their time trying to woo you and trying to have sex with you and then realizing that you're the wrong sex. And then you know. So it's obviously a bit crazy in my view. But I am a bit tired now.
Okay.
But yeah, we managed to keep it going for 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All
Yes.
right. I'll see you soon.
All right. Take
All
care.
right. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.